I can remember when it come over TV.
Yeah, that's what that's about.
It was so shocking. And even back in the country, people's children were crying in school. Mm-hmm. They let school out early because everybody was broke up. I can remember standing in front of the TV and wiping tears to a president that I'd seen on TV, but I'd never really knew him or seen him.
Yeah.
But he was so well liked that the first thing we thought of was what's going to happen to us now.
Mm-hmm. This was the second time he was in there, right? That's not the first time he was in.
Did he run two?
I don't know. I think he only run once.
I think he just got in there once.
Just once. Yeah.
And
because wasn't that when he got assassinated? Wasn't it Johnson that got the presidency?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Johnson was the vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why I was thinking that Cuban Missile Crisis. He was in there, and that was his only mistake. What happened was the Cubans was trying to bring the Russian nuclear weapons down to Cuba to threaten us. And he went in there and done some kind of a job on them. And Castro has hated us ever since. Jimmy Carter has made some contact with him, and we're getting along good now with him, but for years there, it was just a constant threat between Cuba and the United States, and they had the nuclear weapons, and they could have shot them right into our cities, right in close. And Russia was behind the whole thing, because Cuba didn't have the material to build the nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that much of that.
Yeah.
And then in 1965, when we sent troops to Vietnam, they were drafting.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
And all the 18, 19, 20-year-olds were all leaving the small towns around here. Some of them didn't have any experience whatsoever with guns, airplanes, and the stuff that they was going to have to do. And they went, put them through, in particular, one that was close to us was Lois's aunt's boy that lives right next door practically to us. They sent him to boot training, and then he come home on leave. We had him up here had him one night for supper up here before he left. And when they sent him over right afterwards, he had a helicopter that they had him pilot, and they give him pills to keep him awake long periods of time, and he was to bomb these different places, and of course right within a very short while he got shot down and hospitalized, but he died from his injuries right within a week.
He'd been 100 hours without sleep.
And
when they shot him down.
And then
his reaction wasn't there.
And then maybe 2 miles from here, another young guy was over there, and through his training and himself, he held off his whole, do you call it platoon?
Yeah.
From the enemies by standing and shooting them, and he saved his platoon, but of course he lost his life. And he's well recognized through this part of the state and even out of state. I think there's a building dedicated to him, and he left a wife and 2 children. And where Terry, our relative, he was single and he had only a girlfriend, but This went on, and most all the small towns in this state, they will tell you they had casualties from Vietnam. And some of the stuff, the men are still suffering from it. They had, they called it orange.
Oh yeah,
Agent Orange.
yeah. Robert Norris was over there. Glenn Norris was over there. That's all out of one family. And David Norris, all three of them was over there. And Vietnam, and
Lindsay was too,
Lindsay,
your
my
brother.
brother, was over there. And Robert told me he was over there for 2 different terms, 2 years. And he said because he was a leader of troops the time he got on. But Robert was never one to set back. And he was a sergeant. And he said they went through places where the monkeys and the trees was all dying, and they was covered with
Monkeys
that
was on the ground.
orange,
That
Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
And he got exposed to that twice. Like
So
that.
far, he hasn't had any.
And so far he hasn't had any bad response from it at all.
We just lost one last year, and that was over 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we just lost one last year over here from the Agent Orange.
Gordon Sinclair.
Yep.
And it was a
And
relative
this
of
Curtis over here. I don't know his first name. The one that works on the cars there on there.
Mm-hmm.
He was exposed to that, and
now he's slowly
getting-
dying. But
he's dying, but he's getting a pension.
Yep.
They're taking care of him.
so it wasn't easy for those boys and their parents and their loved ones while that war went on. And this is a very small town, and just about every town this size across the state could tell you the same story. They lost a lot of their young people.
Yeah.
And
Well, 63,000. I don't know exactly what the number was, but it was somewhere around 63,000. That's quite a lot for us to lose. To a little country no bigger than Vietnam was. The forest was heavy there. Our troops got shot up awful. They had foxholes dug into the ground that they lived in. They didn't just have them dug into the ground for protection. They had holes dug right into the ground that they lived in. And they used to bomb and they bombed them hard. To, get them out of them places. And let's see if I can think of anything else.
I know we was awful pleased when it did end and they did come back.
Definitely.
A lot of them come back and they weren't ever the same as when they left mentally, along with physically, but we lost a lot. We lost heavy on them.
Yeah, we lost, and we had people who was prisoners. And we had quite a few of our boys' bodies was never found and brought back. Yeah, every once in a while now they just find something from somebody. I think they found something just a little while ago from one of the bodies of, can't remember who it was.
Martin Luther King being assassinated. You remember anything about that?
Martha.
Martin Luther King.